So I've been studying the book of Two Kings, and I came across this gem from 2 Kings chapters 18 and 19. Now I'm only going to talk parts of it which stood out to me, but I definitely recommend that you read both of them. But basically it follows the king called is it Hezekiah. By the way, when it comes to names, I'm probably not gonna, you know, say them properly. But anyway, so he is the king of Judah, and basically, what has happened, the king of Assyria is basically calling the shots and everything. First, Ezekiel tries to kind of bring peace upon them two by giving him money, but that doesn't work. But basically, this kind of section on these two chapters just show how the enemy can try and deceive people. So during this time, the king of Assyria is not actually talking directly to Hezekiah, but he's using. Now I'm going to pronounce this word. Now it's a title, so it's basically the commander of the army, but it's not actually a name, but it's Rapshakia. I think he's basically, we don't need to hear his voice yet. Well, actually, it's mentioned in here. So I'm going to say his name again, and I'm going to butcher it. Well, not his name, but his title. So he is basically doing all the talking for the king. And it gets to the point where he addresses the people as well. And it's just the way he's trying to twist, it just shows how much, like, how the enemy works in our lives, and how the enemy will try and, like, use lies to try and deceive us. So I'm going to read from um, verse 28. And I said, this is chapter 18. It says, Then the Rapshika stood and called out with a loud voice in Hebrew and spoke, saying, Hear the word of the great king, the king of Assyria. Thus says the king, Do not let Hezekiah deceive you, for he shall not be able to deliver you from his hand, nor let Hezekiah make you trust in the Lord, saying, The Lord will surely deliver us. This city shall not given into the hand of the king of Assyria. Now I should point out as well, Hezekiah is one who trusts the Lord so much. Like, there's no one like him before him, and there was no other king after him that trusted the Lord so much. I forgot to mention that bit. Anyway, do not listen to Hezekiah, for this says the king of Assyria, Make peace with me by a present, and come out to me, and every one of you eat from his own vine, and everyone from his own fig tree, and every one of you drink the waters of his own cistern, until I come and take you away to a land like your own land, a land of grain and new wine, a land of bread and vineyards, a land of olive groves and honey, that you may live and not die. Do not listen to Hezekiah, lest he persuade you, saying, The Lord will deliver us. Has any of the gods of the nations at all delivered its land from the hand of the king of Syria? So at this time, King Assyria is going from land to land, taking over it basically. So where are the gods of Hamath and Arpad? Where are the gods of Sepharvaim and Hena and Ivia? Indeed, have they delivered Samaria from my hand? Who among all gods of the lands have delivered their countries from the hand of the Lord shall deliver Jerusalem from my hand? But the people held their peace and answered him not a word, for king's commandment was, Do not answer him. So you see how he's kind of trying to now deceive the people by saying, actually, you know what, your God's not going to deliver you. Basically, I'm going to give you I'm going to give you all this, when in actual fact that's not going to happen. And a point here, it says that the people didn't answer because, it's the king's commandments. I mean, when it comes to the enemy's lies and everything, there's no point of arguing with the enemy, because you're not going to win, and it just becomes a circle and circle. So it's best to literally ignore the enemy's lies. Whenever you get a thought like saying, I don't know, you're not good at it, just annoy it, and just annoy it, ignore it. How held it captive and just throw it away, because there's no point of entertaining the situation, because it's going to cause you pain, and it's just you're going to confuse yourself, and you're going to be more in despair and everything like that. The best thing to do is when you get that thought, just throw it away, just throw it, every negative thing, just throw it away. And the fact is, he doesn't stop either. Like, the enemy doesn't stop. Like, you ignore him, he'll come back again. So if you go to chapter 19 and from verse 10, it says, so this is where he even sent a letter to Hezekiah. It says, "This you shall speak to Hezekiah, king of Judah, saying, do not let your God in whom you trust deceive you, saying, Jerusalem shall not be given into the hand of the king of Assyria. Look, you have heard what the kings of Assyria have done to all the lands by utterly destroying them, and shall you be delivered? Have the gods of the nations delivered those whom my fathers have destroyed, Gozan and Haran and Rezeph, and the people of Eden who were in Telassar? Where is the king of Hamath, the king of Aprid, the king of the city of Sepharvaim, Hena, and Evia?" So again, he's trying to say to Hezekiah, it's not going to happen. God's not going to deliver you. Yeah, it's not going to deliver your country. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, because all these other gods, they didn't deliver their people. But the difference is that the Lord is the true and living God. All these other gods are all just false idols. That's why they were not delivered. But the enemies, again, he's trying to use the lies and trying to, make Hezekiah give up. And you know what he does with this letter? After he's read this letter, he goes to the Lord, he prays to the Lord, he brings all his worries to the Lord, and he's reassured. And if you've not read the story, Isaiah delivers, a prophecy, and that he will, King Uzziah, the king of Syria, will end up getting murdered, and it does end up happening. But these two chapters are just a good example of how, like, the enemy will try and deceive you. Like, he will try and say the most utter things and try and deceive you, especially when you're at the lowest. Like, when you're literally at the lowest, he will just make you feel just even worse, and try and kind of take you away from God and say, why, like, don't trust in him, look at you now. You know what I mean? Like, look at you now. Obviously, I don't know what everyone's struggling with, but for example, it could be like, look at you now. Really, does God really love you? You won't be suffering this, or you won't be going through this situation. Like, the enemy will do so much stuff, so much lies to try and deceive you. But remember, always trust in God. Always trust in God. Always bring all your worries or any burdens, or even those thoughts that are going through your head, just take them to God and pray to them, because God will deliver. The enemy is a lie. The enemy is an utter lie. And I just felt that those two chapters are just a good example of, what the enemy can do to try and steer you away from God, and to try and, deceive you and try and trick you that, the things that God has been telling you, or that sort of thing, they're all lies. It's not going to happen. Don't listen to them, because at the end of the day, the enemy is a lie, and he can be very, very sneaky. He can be very sneaky. Sometimes it can be so obvious, it's like, no. But sometimes it can be very, very sneaky. But yeah, just don't listen to it.